So this video is about intervals. The first part of the video, I'm going to show you what they are and how to count them. And in the second part of the video, I'm going to explain to you how you establish if a chord or a scale is either major, minor, or dominant. Intervals is a counting system based on numbers instead of letters. We all know how to do F, G, A, B, C, and that. But this is going to be numbers instead of letters. And you're going to find that the number system explains things. The letters, names of notes just tell you what the names of the notes are, and that's fine. You do need to know what the names of the notes are on your guitar, but it's not going to explain anything. So the definition of an interval is that it's the distance between any two notes, how far those notes are from each other. When you listen to music, you're not hearing notes. And I'll show you that that's true. I'll give you a demonstration of that right now. I'm going to play something that should sound familiar to you. And when I do it, I obviously have to use a group of notes to do that. All right? So here it goes. Hopefully you can recognize this. That should sound familiar. Now I'm going to play something again, and I'm not going to use one of the same notes that I played before. Every single note will be different, and we'll see if you recognize this. Okay, it's the same song. Hopefully you recognize that as the beginning of Jingle Bells. So if not one note was the same in either of those groups, how did you recognize it as being the same thing? Because what you recognized were the intervals, the distances between the notes that I played. In the first example, those notes were a certain distance from each other. In the second example, even though I started from a different note, the distances between the notes were identical to the distances between the first group of notes. So that's proof that you're hearing intervals when you listen to music and not names of notes. Okay, this interval thing is based on the major scale, the standard do, re, mi scale. What I'm going to do is demonstrate this starting on an F root note. Okay, so I'm down here on the first fret of the sixth string. The pattern that we're going to play is you're going to play the root note, then you're going to go up a whole step and a whole step, and then a half step, and then a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and a half step. So that's from the root, you play 2 whole steps, then a half step, 3 whole steps, and a half step. All right, and that's going to give us this, and I number them as I go. It's very simple. So the root note that we start on is 1, and then I'll continue up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a half step, 8. Now this 8 is the same note that I started on down here. It's another F note up here, an octave. So I can call this either 1 or I can call it 8. I'm going to call it 8 right now, and I'm going to start counting backwards down this pattern. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do that one more time, and then what you should do is after I demonstrate this again, you should pause the video and do this yourself and do it up and down until you don't make any mistakes. But here it is one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and these are called natural intervals, which just means they're not sharped and they're not flatted. All right, so pause the video, do that up and down until there are no mistakes, and then come back. So now we're going to talk about the sharped and flatted intervals, which are very simple. They are the intervals in between the natural intervals. So if this is 1 and this is 2, the interval or distance that's in between that can be called either 1 that's being sharped or 2 that's being flatted. So 1, sharp 1, or flat 2. So sharp 1 and flat 2 is the same thing. And this is going to happen everywhere previously we had whole steps between intervals. There's going to be a sharp and a flat in between. So now I'm going to go very slowly all the way up with all the sharps and flats included, still starting on this F note down here. So 1, sharp 1 or flat 2, 2, sharp 2 or flat 3, 3, it's a half step to 4, sharp 4 or flat 5, 5, sharp 5 or flat 6, 6, sharp 6 or flat 7, 7, half step to 8. Okay? So you should do that up and down as many times as you need to until it's comfortable. All right? You don't want to have mistakes when you're counting intervals. You can do it slowly, but get it so that you're comfortable and confident with it. All right, and pause the video at this point, get that together, and come back, and we're going to talk about the next thing. So now we're going to talk about major, minor, and dominant. We just played a major scale when we did the natural intervals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now remember, major, minor, and dominant are categories of things. There's more than one major scale, there's more than one dominant scale, and there's more than one minor scale. When we learn how to establish if something is major, minor, or dominant, what I'm going to do is demonstrate it with the simplest major scale, which I just played, a simple dominant scale, and a simple minor scale. All right, and then we're going to come back and compare the intervals in them and come to some conclusions. So one last time, that major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we should already have that part together. I'm now going to play, starting on the same F note, an F dominant scale. So it's a very simple dominant scale. The formula, the only difference in it is that it's going to have a flatted 7 when you get up here. Not a natural 7, but a flatted 7. All right, so now I'm going to play that up and down, and you can do it when I'm done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8. Backwards. 8, flat 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, pause the video. I want you to do that up and down until there are no mistakes. On to the minor scale. So this is a simple minor scale. The formula, it's going to have a flatted 3rd and a flatted 7th. All right, still starting on the F. So here we go. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8, backwards. 8, flat 7, 6, 5, 4, flat 3, 2, 1. Okay, pause the video, do that up and down until there are no mistakes. So I'm going to hold up a little chart here. Obviously this chart would be in the book and look a little nicer, but I'm just scratching this out for now. Okay, here are the intervals that we just played in those 3 scales. So what I'm going to do is ask you a question about the major scale up on top. You're going to need to look at the intervals in all 3 scales to give me the answer to this, but the answer is in that major scale up on the top. Okay, so the question is this. What interval is in the major scale but not in the other 2 scales? What interval do you see in the major scale and not in the other 2 scales? And I'll give you a second to think about that. The answer is 7. So the major scale is the only one up there that has a 7 in it. The other two scales have a flatted 7. So major has a natural 7, dominant and minor have flatted 7s. So what does that mean about the major scale? Well, it means that since there are only 3 categories of things in music, and I'm showing you a representation of each of those categories, that if major is the only one up there that has a 7, it must mean that any scale, every scale that has a 7 in it is called a major scale. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay, now look down at the minor scale on the bottom. I'm going to ask the same type of a question about the minor scale. This should be relatively simple. What interval do you see in the minor scale that does not appear in the other two scales? Again, what interval is in the minor scale and not in the other two scales? The answer, the flatted third. So what does that mean? It means that any and every scale that has a flatted third in it must be a minor scale. Because if it didn't have a flat 3, it would have a natural 3, and that would be either major or dominant. Okay, so minor has a flatted third. Dominant. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I want you to know about the dominant, because you wouldn't initially come to this conclusion. And it may seem initially like there's a little contradiction here, but I'll guarantee you that there isn't. So the question is, what makes a dominant a dominant? And the answer is, any scale with a flatted 7 is a dominant. I'll say it again. Any scale with a flatted 7 is a dominant. So at this point, you should have a question for me. That minor scale down there also has a flatted 7. So what does that mean? If I just said that every scale with a flat 7 is a dominant, that minor has a flatted 7, and we call it a minor. Well, it is a minor, but guess what else it is? Think literally. It's also a dominant. It means it has 2 uses, 2 functions that minor scale does down there. That dominant scale that we're looking at in the middle is simply a dominant scale. It is nothing else. The minor scale down there, on the other hand, has a flat 3, so it's minor, but it has a flatted 7 also, so it is also a dominant scale. You don't have to worry about how to use that information right now, but we just have to make we just have to establish that so that we're clear on what defines categories. Sometimes a scale is in more than one. That turns out to be a positive thing. Okay, so really what I want you to know from this is simply this. This is what's important from that discussion. The other thing about a scale being a minor and a dominant, it's okay if you remember that, but right now this is what we're concerned with. So you need to know that major means the interval 7, minor means the interval flat 3, and dominant means the interval flat 7. Okay? And so you now know how to categorize every scale that exists.